It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games and the gaming industry. Coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch this fine Tuesday night and or Wednesday, depending where you are in the world. Glad to have you with us everywhere in the world, from North America all the way to Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Europe. It's like middle of the night in Europe, so I don't know how many of those folks will be listening right at the moment, but this will be up for you freshly in the morning. So welcome if you're listening after the fact, and if you're listening live. My name is Ash. I'm here with Obsidian and Moontag. As always, Moon, take it away.
Yes, hello. It's lovely to see so many of you joining us for the live stream. Please say hi in the chat and send us your questions and comments too. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout. And as we get going, don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And if you're interested in continuing the conversation after the stream, be sure to check out our Discord community. We have lots of fun and shenanigans going on there, whether it's chatting in the chat rooms or in the voice rooms or whatever else going on in the memes channel.
Lots of shenanigans. The memes channel. The memes channel. When I need to pick me up during the day, I go to the memes channel. It's always a lot of... We've got some users that just, including you, Moon. You post quite a few in there. It's always a good time.
Yes.
I'll be looking at my phone and just randomly start chuckling. My wife will be like, "You're looking at your memes channel again, aren't you?" I'm like, yes, I am.
Exactly.
I have a problem. Anyway, welcome everybody. Some interesting news to talk about today. Saib, I know you are you're with us. You're trucking along despite some significant tooth pain. We're hoping and praying.
Oh, more pain. It's like it's been such a fuss. Oh, sorry. These are my pills. Yay! So good. Yeah, it's been rough. It has been really, really rough. So I haven't been on Discord as much as I'd like to. I haven't been hanging out as much as I like to, and this coming off of having an immense amount of nerve issues and pain, and it's been great.
Well, you're trucking along with us.
So great.
You're trucking along with us. I was trying to put a positive spin on it, but yes, I know I certainly appreciate you being here, despite all of that. So thank you so much for being so dedicated to what we're doing here. And yes, and hello, we've got some of our regulars in the chat.
You want to know what they? You want to know what they did? What they gave me? They gave me a container of 300 pain pills, like the good kind, the kind that like they're like okay, so if you start taking more than 5 of these a day, you're probably addicted and you need to call us right away. it's like great. But
wait,
they're
so
like, yeah.
Are we talking like T3s, T4s, or something else?
T3s.
Oh, okay. I had
I
had some of those when I had tooth issues a while back, but yeah. Well, we hope you get in with that specialist who can fix you up. But lots of well, I mean, it's been a little quiet, but there are some significant stories to talk about today. We're going to be talking about why there is some hope for Dying Light 2. At least it would seem that way. At least that's what Techland seems to want us to think.
It's quite possible that you will know more about that if you're listening to the show in the morning here than we will.
Yeah,
talking about it right now. So they're having a press they're having a press, or they're having a something.
There's
tomorrow.
some sort of event happening tomorrow. There's some sort of info reveal happening tomorrow for Dying Light 2. And since we're into it, I'll just bring it up. I'll bring one of the news articles up on the screen right now. So it was revealed a few days ago, and a couple of you posted on the Discord server. Thank you so much, by the way, for all of those of you who send us stories on the Discord server. That tomorrow there is going to be some kind of an info reveal, info drop, and the Dying Light 2, the official Dying Light Twitter channel has been very active, and we're going to go through some of their official tweets. But at the same time, we're being warned to temper our expectations of what information might actually be revealed. Somebody managed to capture this screenshot here. Let me see if I can make it larger. But this is either a community manager for Techland or one of the Discord moderators, or both. I've seen this person referred to as both of those things. So very well might be both. So this is, anyway, somebody from Techland who's saying, honestly, to keep the expectations intact, I can say already that there won't be a release date announcement, but there will be more than simply the development is going smoothly. So we're not going to get a release date, but they are going to give us a little more than just, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
He says here it's a dev update. By the way, you have to read these from bottom to top because these were chat messages that were just screen grabbed. Wait, that doesn't make sense. It says read them bottom. You're supposed to read these bottom to top. So he says, he or she, as the community, you'll have a better understanding of what's going on, and hopefully it will make the wait a little bit easier. And look at this from the bright side. There won't be any delay announcements. Ha ha ha! Very funny. We don't have a release date yet, so there can't be a delay announcement. I also saw some people worried that we might announce canceling the game. That won't happen either. So here we go. So there's going to be some info dropping. It's not going to be like a release date with maybe necessarily a crazy amount of info, but it sounds like we're going to get more of an understanding of what's been happening with them as a company, because there's been a lot of news. There's been, there's been people departing. There were some reports that came out recently saying that the game was in development hell, and that as one person, formerly of the studio described it, that the development was in total chaos. Or it might be somebody who's speaking anonymously who is still working there. So that it's I imagine that they're doing this in response to that. I imagine they're doing this to sort of combat some of the rumors that this game is in big trouble. And I guess time will tell, but again, the Twitter account has been very active, and I've just highlighted a few of them here. They've been responding to a lot of people. Whoever's running the Twitter account for Dying Light has been working overtime lately. Mm-hmm. But they say there's not going to be any early access, so that's not going to be announced tomorrow. Early access, not meant for DL2. We were working hard for all these years to deliver a finished and quality product, and that's still our goal. So that's not going to be one. This reiterates that it's not going to be canceled. Mm-hmm. And here they combat the idea that the game is in development hell. Now, it depends on your definition of development hell. By this definition, he says it means that the game is not making any development process, but Dying Light 2 keeps moving forward. So if that's your definition of development hell, then it's not in development hell, apparently. But I don't think that's the only definition.
It's better than what we got from various news outlets that in certain cases was less than 5 or even 4 paragraphs going, so this is Techland. Hey guys. Game is not in development hell. Things are moving along. We announced way too early. We're going to have a bit of an update for you. Mostly, again, probably trying to combat the very, very negative press that's been boiling around, and probably to ensure their investors that their money isn't going to waste, and trying to calm some fears, because again, Techland is a Polish studio, and another Polish studio just recently had a very
problematic launch
release.
Yes. Yeah, difficult release.
So naturally, the studios go, oh, okay, Guess what, everybody? The developer has a lot of bad news to tell you. Looks like things aren't going well. And it's like, oh, how did you get that from, hey guys, we're going to have an update tomorrow, and yeah, we're not in development hell. We're like, again, you're going to assume that, oh, perhaps there's some investigative journalism going on here. The answer to that would be no.
No, you think
No.
journalists actually investigate things anymore and, verify facts and
it's so funny. It's so funny to me because these people who write these articles going, so I saw on Reddit that there was an announcement made on some place called Discord. It's like, if you guys are journalists, shouldn't you be on those Discords covering the games that you want to cover? Why are you picking this up second or quite possibly third hand on Reddit? Like, get with the times, people. Like, Reddit is like, we all know what Reddit is for. It's for flaming people, or posting memes in r/ something Thai. Obviously, that's what's going on, for the prawn, right? Not actually going to the source of this information, which is Discord, and speaking directly to the Discord related people who are, quite oftentimes employees of the studio who are answering a lot of direct questions at times. Heaven forbid you actually have at least some level of actually involvement in actual journalism. So yeah. So on the Discord, basically this was rounded up. They said it's going to drop a little bit sooner for the Discord people, or at least they'll hear about it sooner there. So
the info that's coming tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're interested in picking this stuff up, first and foremost, join the Discord and then hang around and wait for that information to hit that live and quick and dirty, so to speak. Honestly, just overall, I think that not all studios can ignore or just walk away from the complete idea of saying, look, we want to wait until the game is ready, then we'll talk about it, then we'll release it. They're, the Todd Howard thing of I want to work on a game, and then when I believe it's ready, I want to talk about it, that week, and then release it, the next day. That kind of thing. That's not strictly possible and won't be until we're entirely on a digital economy. And even then, everybody who's involved in the PR of the company or advertising is going to be, they're going to be pulling their hair out because that's a nightmare idea. It works once in a while when you're not doing it, when you're not in an environment that's doing it constantly. So, if all the, if everybody's, if you're in a school of fish and everybody's a red fish, and suddenly somebody shows up and they're yellow fish, everybody's like, oh my, look at that yellow. Oh, wow, that's so amazing. And then everybody's rushing to become yellow. But once they all become yellow, first person who shows up, they're red or blue or green or whatever, the fish are all going to go, oh my, look at that. But it also makes you a better target for predators. So what do you want to do? Well, in this case, like I said at the beginning, I do believe that Techland wants to kind of poke their head out, say, here's the game, here's everything that's going on, here's an update. I think they're probably going to show some gameplay. And they're probably going to try to show actual gameplay as is of, I would hope they get this right, which would be a very, very small side mission, very far away from all of the main hubs of activity. When you show main hub of activity, again, we learned this with CDPR, and if any changes happens to that hub of activity at any point in the development cycle that makes it look less than what it looks like when you show it off, huge problem with that. If you show a very small side mission that's very far away from most other action taking place in a very secluded part of the map, that is probably better because A, you're not going to spoil, or have too much to spoil on, and B, you can show games and schematics and systems running, as cleanly as you possibly can, and then hopefully you're not going to mess with that quest or that hub at all.
Right.
Because again,
So
if you
it'll
change
appear
a
as
hub,
is. Yeah.
you just create a different shading at this point, and people are going to start screaming that the game has been what's it called, downscaled, or it's going to be different. Again, the shading could be purely like preference, right? Like what do you think looks better? And a bunch of people could sit around and argue about it. But if one person believes it to be downscaled because they think that shading makes it look downscaled, then that's going to be the reaction of everybody, and everybody's going to be losing their heads and all that kind of stuff. So they do need to get out. They do need to showcase something. They do need to show gameplay. If they don't show gameplay, I think this would be a very, very, very bad thing, because people want tangible evidence now, and they don't want it, brushed up, painted up, or in some way
like
they
completely
want to
faked, like some trailers.
In some cases, I would even recommend that you start at the main menu, you go into the load system, and you load a save. I really, really would strongly recommend developers to start doing this. And then you show the game actually loading in, and then you proceed to show 10, 15 minutes of gameplay, and then without any edits, without any cuts, you just show the straight up gameplay. And then if you have any placeholders, if you have any placeholders, you need to stop the gameplay, point at the game, at the placeholder, and very loudly say, "This is a placeholder. We've got something really cool that is going to replace this in the future."
I wouldn't even do that. I would pre-record and just make sure that none of that shows up, but do it in a way that
I think that you have to showcase any placeholders, and I want the whole thing pre-recorded so that it's a smooth experience, and they probably should do it like 5 to 10 times and then take their best cut and showcase that. I really think that I really think as developers showcasing early stuff, you need to literally stop and point at a lot of things and say, "This is a placeholder. We're not finished with this concept yet. We have been working on something else which may or may not replace this thing or this system." And you need to be very clear about that in your development so that people understand that this is a work in progress. If you make that really clear, the backlash on changing any of those things is going to be a lot less, and we as the players are going to be able to adjust our expectations properly. And people who don't understand how to understand what that is, like, again, a lot of journalists, I've described this story multiple times, where I'm in a Discord for a game that's not out yet. It's very, very early in development. This is pre-alpha, shortly after Vertical Slice. Yeah. And they let some press in to see, like, to muddle around with it on the back end. And one of the guys got on the Discord from a big journalistic company and said, "Excuse me, what is this pink blob? Why is there a question mark on it? And why is this weird graphic around it? I don't understand what I'm seeing here. Is this some kind of like meme or something?" And I responded with, "No, that's a placeholder, you idiot." I didn't say idiot, but that's what I really wanted to say. And I'm like, "What journalistic company do you work for? And how long have you been reviewing video games? Because this is normal." But they really do need to, like, obviously they don't showcase those anymore. Like they used to a very long time ago. But that kind of, like, anything that you're working on, they really need to make that quite clear, because the people today, they see something without somebody's pointing a big stick at it saying, "Hey, this is going to be replaced." They assume that that's going to be in the game exactly as is. And again, if they assume or they believe that it's a downgrade, when it's by every, like, reasonable margin of understanding that it's not, if they believe that it's a downgrade, they will then use that as ammo against the company. So
it is kind of overboard. I find, like, the approach you're suggesting, I think even that is a little risky, because someone's going to take just a screen grab, and that'll get shared around, and that will that'll establish people's initial ideas of the game without
But
the full context of the video.
If you give your fans enough like actual ammunition to fight the trolls, so to speak, or to fight the people who have absolutely no coherent understanding of game progressive work at all, if you give them enough tools or ammunition to fire back against this, that ends up becoming a rallying cry for your company, not a negative. See, if you just have it there, like with what CDPR did with one of their quest areas, their quest hubs, that they ended up changing drastically because they had to, because it was just too close to too much stuff going on, and they ended up moving the meeting spot with these characters. They ended up changing a lot of this stuff because they wanted to add in these other cool scenes and all that stuff. Because they did that, everybody assumed immediately that it was them downgrading the thing, and then they used that stupid kazoo Jurassic Park, and you're seeing the downgraded thing, which is downgraded because of different placement of stuff. And you're not seeing the actual you're not seeing the meat and potatoes, really. You're just seeing this facade thing. And so that's what I would personally recommend strongly, is like show them everything and then make very clear what you're changing. Mm-hmm. And then that gives the ability for the next time a troll says, "Didn't looks like this doesn't mean," then the fans of the players are actually going to fire back and say, "No, learn to read learn to listen to a video, and then they put a bunch of memes making fun of the person. Again, I don't recommend making fun of people. I am incredibly strict against professionals who should know what they're doing. I'm not against the fans. Like, if a fan's being crappy and being a B word because they're upset, then that's one thing. But it's you don't need to trounce on them. You just need to poke fun at the situation to de-escalate the anger. But yeah, so, and I think they have a lot of de-escalating of anger to do here, because they've had not a good past few years from the perspective of their company's in shambles. They've not had a good time getting this game out. I mean, Dying Light 1 came out in 2015. 6 years later, they're working on this. They didn't put out a major game between that and there. I believe there was, although I might be thinking of a different zombie. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of a different zombie game. They've had a long time to work on this. They showed it off fairly early on, and they have done very little to nothing with the announcements in the recent time.
Well, I remember it was 2018 E3, I believe. Mm-hmm. Was the first I saw about Dying Light 2. Did they show it earlier than that? And they acknowledge now that they announced the game too early.
Yeah. I suspect that they were only about probably a year or two in, about 2 years in, 2, possibly 3, but they were only probably about 2 years into designing the game and coming up with the mechanics and the systems for it. I believe that a lot of what we saw was scripted events, meaning that there wasn't any actual choice. You couldn't actually choose to go left or right there. That scene was played out essentially on autopilot. And this is something that companies really have to stop doing now too. They really, really need to stop doing this. Your trailers, your gameplay stuff, you can do it several times. You can get a professional gamer to come in and do it several times. But for the love of God, stop creating these pre-scripted autopilot trailers that somebody is pretending to be an actual playthrough or actual gameplay. Anthem being the worst abomination of pretending to do this. That when that trailer came out, that was the game that they took back to the studio and said, "All right, make this in 18 months."
Yeah. That was garbage.
This. Yeah, that absolutely horse manure. Yeah, because it really just screams that you need to upscale things. You need to make things better. You need to make things a little bit more smooth. And in order to do that, you've got to show something that's real and you have to show something that has some level of meaningfulness behind it. Otherwise, you're just going to run into a wall.
But you do think they're going to show gameplay tomorrow?
I think it's likely that we'll get probably at least a few seconds of something. I couldn't imagine them making this much of a fuss about it if they weren't planning on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way they worded this,
logical.
Yeah. I mean, very possibly that, like, the way they worded this tweet, the announcement tweet, it just says, we've got a few words to share with you, which we've been hearing. We've had a lot of press events lately that have just been words, and they're very annoying.
Everything.
What's that?
Ecosystem everything.
Ecosystems, yes. If they say the word ecosystem, I might throw my monitor. But so they're at least maybe they're trying to downplay it, and they'll surprise us with something tomorrow. That would be very nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll definitely be watching for that info, and if there's something big, you'll probably see a video from us or a live stream or something like that. So definitely subscribe, either here on the podcast's channel or on the main channel, Triple S League, or both. Both is even better. Help us get to our 1,000 sub goal here on the new podcast's channel, and over on the main channel, we're aiming for that 40K sub mark. And subs have been weird lately. It keeps fluctuating, and I don't know what's going on or how accurate the count even is, but yeah, we're pushing for that 40K mark. All right. So I guess that's about it for Dying Light 2. You are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast, and we love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. It's a late night show, so not as active as our Saturday show, but definitely check that one out as well. But we're glad some of you are here. If you want to keep the conversation going, as Moon said earlier, definitely check out our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us, find about all the things we love to talk about, stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join, and be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. There is a big controversy happening around EA right now, and I actually just realized I don't have an article up for this, so I'll have to find a visual. But Saib, why don't you give us a rundown of what's going on with EA and why it's such a big controversy? I mean, for a company, just when you think they can't go any lower, then they're like, here, hold my beer. It's like,
So, I mean, this is really bad. So really, really bad. Really, 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 really bad. Very bad. Extremely bad.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So basically,
consensus is it's bad.
They EA has been saying for a very long time that they can't hand out certain player cards in their EA Sports garbage games because the infrastructure just isn't there. There's the occasional time where somebody's account is deleted because of something, or some hacker or somebody like that hacks into their system. And then EA goes, oh, we've restored your games. And somebody's like, what happened to my best character? Oh my goodness, my best character, the soccer game, FIFA. He was the best character. What happened to him? Oh, well, it looks like he's gone. And oh, that's too bad. And then they pull those flaps down over, just like those guys in the that work for the cable company in South Park. And they pull those flaps down over their nipples, and they start rubbing their nipples, going, oh, that's just so bad. That's just too bad. Oh, we're sorry that you got such an inconvenience. You're just going to have to spend more money to open up more packs to see if you can get it. Oh, dear. And they start doing this, and the person's like, really angry and upset. And they're like, oh, well, we just don't have the ability to give you those cards. But so turns out that there has been this long investigation going now by players and a handful of like YouTube channels and people who started to hear people say, look, instead of spending $8,000 on microtransactions for this dang stupid piece of garbage game. They just contacted one of these employees and said, "Hey, yo, I heard that some EA guy arranged it so that a friend of mine could get a character that they really, really wanted in their game, and they just paid the guy like a few £1,000, and they were able to get the character that they wanted. I have you heard of this happening? Is there any way you interested in making this happen?" And then the EA employee got back to them and said, "Yeah, we could probably do something like that. We could probably do something like that. If you send me £3,000, I could get you the top 2 characters plus another one. A rank, A or A plus plus rank. I don't know how these ranking systems work, but we could do it. We could do something like that. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it." And then, sure enough, they send them the money, and then, sure enough, a couple days later, characters appear in their account without them having purchased any of these, super awesome card packs. So this just speaks to the volumes at how much these games are garbage, and how much you don't actually get what you want to get out of it. This is really big for if anybody walks away from this story thinking that EA plays fair when it comes to these these chances to get these characters, just that's completely off the table, because it's instead of dropping 10 grand or sorry, $3,000 on the games through microtransactions, instead of doing that and guaranteeing that that you're going to get all of the top characters, instead of doing that, it's easier to bribe with $3,000. It's easier to bribe somebody to give it to you. Shocking. And then it turns out that some of these accounts are being sold. So some of these people are saying, "Hey, I got a new account. Brother kicked me off his old one. I had this character, this character, this character. Don't suppose you could send those characters over to me? I'll wire you, $3,000. They wire them $3,000, get the characters. Then they turn around and they sell that account for $5,000 to somebody who wants those characters. They're selling these accounts. So this is just screwed up in a multiple of directions and ways. Like this is basically. I mean, basically, these are these employees making money off the back of the company, and I mean the fact that this company barely pays them, I would say, I'm not going to cry about that. I guess technically it is illegal, so I would say don't do that, but because I think it falls under embezzlement. Pretty sure it falls under embezzlement. So again, don't do this. Probably illegal, but I don't know if there's a crime being committed from the player side. I mean, they probably will get their account banned if it gets discovered. But this just opened up a whole new can of worms right now for EA, and this again just showcases all of the problems there is with this stupid microtransaction way of making money off these games. I want them to ban this stuff so fast that it would make these companies' heads spin. I really want them to just ban this and just throw them out the gosh darn window.
This one is particularly bad, and especially when you've got on top of just this scandal going on, EA, lying and saying, no, this can't happen. Well, now it's happening. Yeah. People within the company. And here's their statement. It appears that one or more EA accounts, which were either compromised or being used inappropriately by someone within EA, directly entitled items to these individual accounts, etc., etc. So now they're trying to save face now. Hold on, that doesn't work. I'm trying to drag a tab over, and that's not working. I just searched for FIFA Ultimate Team news here, and it says they're investigating. There was one Oh yeah, we are angry too, says EA, as FIFA investigation proves that EA Gate is real. Well, yeah, I'm sure you are.
Of course they're angry. Oh, yes. Really?
Well, they're
Didn't
probably
see
not
that one
happy
coming.
that. I mean, they probably are. Like the
Oh,
employees
yeah.
that are doing
Obvious.
this are going to be in trouble if they get caught for sure. But really, like, where's your anger about the fact that you're screwing players left and right with this? Like, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on this game and never get any of the top players.
You remember back a while ago, I can't remember the exact amount, but I do remember it was like EA gave away to all of their high level streamers playing their games, playing the FIFA games. I remember the story. They gave away some large amount of money. I think it was like $1 million or $2 million. I can't remember exactly the exact amount, but they gave away a lot of money. And so they gave it to some channels. They were opening $50,000. Other channels they were opening $10,000. Other channels 50,000, 25,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they were having this big event where, and I believe it was FIFA, where all these FIFA people were opening these things, and they were going to showcase how many cool, awesome, amazing, super cool, top tier characters they got. And I think it was that out of like all of them, the literally million some of dollars that went into this whole campaign, this it was going to be the super viral marketing campaign where everybody saw that all you have to do to get these characters is drop a couple grand on your account. And they were going to do this. They were going to show this off. And it ended up being that out of all of the people who were purchasing that day, none of those people combined got even one of the top 5. I think only one, and I think it was the number 8 best character, dropped for one of the accounts. So not only did you not get the top 5, you didn't even get you didn't reliably get like an actual good top 10 to drop more than once. Oh my goodness. I remember it because there were a lot of people who were like, well, okay, well, I'm clearly not putting money into this game because they just dropped $1 million, bro, and they didn't get jack. So if they dropped $1 million, what am I going to do with my $800? Right? So of entertainment money for the entire year. It's like, yeah, that's pretty horrifying, really, when you think about it. When you scale this up and when you examine this out, basically, yeah. I don't think.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
nuts.
I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot there with that, but they're certainly shooting themselves in the foot here with this. And I keep asking myself, when will these gamers playing these games give up on this microtransaction stuff? When will the players themselves move on?
Well, do they know? Do they actually know that they
that's the thing
have such a low?
I don't think that there's a lot of people who do. I think there's a lot of kids who use their parents' credit card to just buy as we've all heard these stories before. There's the one kid who was on his mom's app game and spent like 10 grand because he didn't understand the concept of like the fact that every time he pressed the purchase now button, that he was actually paying, that his mother was actually paying money. And it was going through, I believe it was like their PayPal that was directly linked to their bank or their credit card. And it ran up like 10 grand in charges. And he just didn't understand the concept that he was spending real world money on the video game. Or at least I'm sure was his excuse, which probably worked. And we've all heard stuff like this before. And these companies have been taken to task in one way or another, and again and again and again. And I mean, like it's a dirty system. I know it's a dirty system. I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with it. I tend to get really combative. Like there's more than once where I've done an angry purchase because I got beat in an arena and I was trying for like the top 100, and I missed out on that top let's let's be real, it was the top 10 position. Okay, and I missed out on that top 10 position because it's just I just didn't have enough power by by that little inch. So you do an angry purchase. It doesn't make you feel good. It's very bad, and I've had to like really steer clear of microtransactions since then. And it's one of the things I like about how I have my Genshin set up right now. I don't play it very much. In fact, I just turned it on today because there's a big patch coming up, and I just want to keep. I load it up like once every like 2 months now.
Right.
But I have it set up so that I can't even do any purchases on it now. So I am 100% free to play, no payments whatsoever, because I can't even if I wanted to right now, I could not purchase anything in that game. And that's the way some people have to set this up. And unfortunately, until this stuff really hits them hard, I don't think they're gonna do anything. So
yeah, indeed. Is Jagos points out this exact scandal was also in the Star Wars mobile game. Yes, absolutely, very true.
Yep.
Jagos also hands me a monitor to throw. Thank you so much. So I don't have to throw either of my old monitors here. I should really get a new one. Let's see here. Welcome to the party says Dying Light 2 will be a good game. Well, I certainly hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
I hope so. We really need a win, and I'm not going to be able to play because of the way. I mean, it's like nauseous city, man. In preparation, I watched the old trailer footage, and I was watching it on YouTube. And a minute in, I felt like super queasy, and I had to stop because it was super bad for me. But I really do appreciate this, and unlike other games where I wish it was. I wish all games had a choice of first person and third person. But in this game, it was designed originally around that very, very, parkour first person. It wasn't ham-fisted in there like another recent game that I really disagreed with that going that first person because it was originally designed to be third person, and then they just took that out. I understand that this game was designed 100% around being first person, and I totally get it. And third person camera wouldn't even really work with the moves that you do because there's very few weapons. It's all mostly like this like parkour stuff, which again is kind of interesting. I would love it to be third person, but I don't hold down any concept that it should be on this because it's just not it. But I think that people really want a good win. We need a good game to come out sometime soon. And if Microsoft doesn't put out anything on the 26th of this month, March, there's some rumors that they're going to have a showcase showing a bunch of stuff. If we don't get that, we already had a very disappointing release of indie games and Paradox, just immensely disappointing.
The showcases, like they not released,
so
but the showcases there. There were some good ones in the indie showcase.
Indie games. There was some interesting indie showcase stuff, but just absolutely nothing worthwhile doing a showcase for Paradox. I don't know what they were thinking. They didn't even talk about Bloodlines. Like they didn't even mention it at all, which is like weird of them. You think they would have had some kind of like, don't worry guys, we are going to make this game right. And we felt that this was the only choice that we had. We had to do it. We had to pull back on this. We had to get it into somebody else's hands to finish this game up. But don't you worry, it is definitely coming out at some point. Having a simple conversation like that, instead it was two really deadpan people talking in monotone voices at all times, and they just swapped between the people talking in deadpan monotone voices for the entire show, and it was legitimately hard to stay awake. Mind you, I was on painkillers, but it was legitimately hard to stay awake throughout the entire showcase because it was horrendously just terrible because it didn't actually have any meat of any news. So we really need something.
Yes,
we really need something. And I hope we get something sometime soon. But, I mean...
Yes, Islington Girl, you're right. They had no ecosystem. By the way, that was the monitor joke. I said if the Dying Light folks, if they say ecosystem one time tomorrow, I'm probably going to throw my monitor. But yeah. By the way, welcome Islington Girl. Welcome Woolly Ram. Woolly Ram says, has anyone here tried Loop Hero yet? Have not, but I've been hearing about it. It looks interesting. If I have some time, I'm going to throw a couple hours into that. But there's always, yeah. Oh,
I do like the pixelated art.
Yeah.
Of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll have to see.
There's always way more games available to try than I'm able to try. And I wish I could. I've said this many times. I wish we could have a big, we could do major coverage of indie titles and just highlight.
Sorry, he just had to clarify Loop Hero. He says the cards build the world, not the combat. So I was like, because I'm actually looking at the trailer and the Steam page over here for that game, and I'm like, oh, pixels. I do like the pixels. I couldn't see cards quite yet, but no, that makes sense. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth a shot. But I was playing Chris Tales. And I was trying out.
Oh, Chris Tales, yeah. How? Yeah, tell us about that.
So this game, it has this really cool setup where you play as the protagonist and you have the ability to see into the past and into the future. So you could be looking at like the same scene, but being able to see it through 3 different streams of time. So past, present, future. And that plays into like how they tell the story. And as you're unraveling like what's going on in the town and also in the battle system.
Very cool.
It's been fun. They only have like kind of like the intro out right now, but it's a really cool free demo that you can try out on Steam. And they also have a Coliseum where you can fight 8 waves of increasingly difficult baddies. And I could only get about 50% of the way through that on my first go. And I'm really pumped up to try to like reach it to the end and excited to see more of the story because it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, very cool. I've got the Steam page up here on the screen. I like the art style. This is one of the games that was in that mix indie showcase earlier, or on when was that? It was the same day as the Paradox thing.
Saturday morning.
Yeah, that was Saturday because we did that instead of the Saturday podcast and then regretted it. Yeah.
But this like came up like right after the Paradox thing and like kind of saved my day there. And I was like, wow, this is really pretty, really pretty.
This is when they showcase a game and then immediately give you a demo. That's always really good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the other one, Loop Hero.
One more thing I want to add about it is that it had fantastic voice acting. Fantastic. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, it really did. It was fantastic. Yeah, fantastic voice acting. She played it in the Discord for us later that day. Mm-hmm. Fantastic voice acting, really cool battler system, very intelligent form of like combat because you can plant a poison seed in the past where you're fighting. So you're fighting a weak small warrior. And you go into their time and you plant a seed down that creates a poison plant. Then you move it to the future and the plant is now grows and explodes, dealing damage to them. But the warrior is now also old and he's now a grizzled veteran, with just humongous muscles instead of this piddly little like weak character.
That's cool. I love games that do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some Legend of Zelda games that have that kind of aspect to them, but also Dishonored 2 had a level where you could transition between the present and the past, and both were sort of happening simultaneously. And you had this mirror thing you could look through to see the past, but then you could also change things in the past and affect the future. It was very cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's Chris Tales, and then Loop Hero. Loop Hero does look interesting, and this idea of the cards building the world instead of being an aspect of the combat, man, I've got to try this one. Anyway, so we have one more story to talk about, and unfortunately, it does deal with loot boxes again. But this was just kind of interesting. So, so Pokemon Go is trying out this system where they're going to show you what's in the egg before, or no, they're going to show you. So they're not even doing what Fortnite did, where they would show you what's in the next llama. They're showing this could be in the next egg that you open. Now, I don't play Pokemon Go, so Moon had to fill me in on how this game works earlier today. But basically, so you collect eggs while you're playing the game, but then you have to they're free and everything, but then you have to put them in an incubator in order to hatch them, and then they hatch into a Pokemon. Is that correct?
Yes, and you start out with you just have one infinity incubator, so you can always have one egg hatching at any time. But if you want to hatch more than one at the same time, or even just more than one at the same time, then you have to purchase extra incubators, and these extra incubators are limited either 1 time or 3 times use. And they don't tell you the odds for any of these things that you get. All I know is when I was playing it regularly, the kilometers walked required to hatch the eggs would tell me basically kind of my rarity level.
Right.
But they didn't even tell me what I would get, or how often I would get something good.
So what if you didn't have so you'd put the egg in the incubator, and then you'd have to walk a certain amount of distance before the egg would hatch.
Yeah, so some eggs just 2K or 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers.
Which, I mean, I'm, kudos to those people who are getting active because of it. I mean, that's all good. But there are ways to shortcut it. You can pay for additional incubators, which are limited use. So then you can incubate multiple eggs at a time. And then you can also shorten the amount of time it takes so there's this microtransaction system, but the eggs themselves are basically loot boxes. You don't know, you don't know what you're getting. Of course, they're not. I mean, they are and they aren't. You're not paying for them, but you're not paying for the egg itself. It's kind of a twist on the system. We have this article here from Kotaku, of course, actually arguing that the eggs are not loot boxes. They're fun presents. And at first, I thought this was an ironic title. I thought oh, this is going to be what Pokemon Go people are saying. What the hell is this? Go away. Why did you these ads that appear over top of the website content? Who allowed this system? That's garbage. So I thought they were quoting somebody here. No, this is their own words. They're actually arguing that this is the case, that the Pokemon Go eggs are not loot boxes. Now, that's all the attention I'm going to give to garbage Kotaku. You're right, Willie Ram. Why pollute the stream with that? Well, just because I had to show that Kotaku is still garbage. But anyway, so while you don't have to pay for the egg, you do have to pay for the means to hatch the egg, which is almost like paying for the egg. Now, you do get the one incubator that you can use for free, but that's the functional equivalent of just being given an egg to hatch every X number of kilometers you walk. So it's just there's lots of games that you have to pay for loot boxes, and they'll give you a free one now and then, or as a reward for playing the game. So really, I see no functional difference between this system and a typical loot box system. It's a typical loot box latch and key system. So that being the case, I think that the premise that these are not loot boxes it doesn't hold water with me. But now they're trying out this system where they'll show you a list of possible contents for the eggs. Clicking on an egg will now show a table of possible contents, which will differ between egg type and regularly changes the game cycles through events featuring specific creatures. So you get a little more information about it. But this is so this is even worse. This is not. They're not even going, like I said earlier, as far as what Fortnite did, where they would just show you what's in the next loot box. And we had many discussions about that, and came to the decision that you're not really. It's not really helping anything. You're just pushing it another. You're just pushing it another step. There's just you still have to. Because if I buy that llama, the next one's going to be randomized too, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. So yeah. So also no probabilities are listed. So there's no suggestion of how much rarer one level is than another. But so I mean, I suppose it's a slight improvement, but it doesn't seem to address the issue of like rarities. Like what is your actual chances of getting each of these creatures?
Because in the end, if you spend 2 or 3 weeks looking at all of your potential things and your potential things and your potential things and your potential things, and there's just no good options, eventually you're just like, screw it, gonna buy $100 worth of them and just power through 100 of them, $100 worth of whatever. It's the same thing that people do now in Fortnite. It's the exact same thing that people do in these other games when they don't get the preview. It's the exact same behavior. It's not an improvement. And I hate it that these companies go out and go, look, guys, we're really keeping our eye on helping you not to abuse the system. Don't you worry there. Everything's going to be fine. And it's not fine. It's just worse because the end result is the same. People are still dropping that $100 to try and get the thing so that they don't miss out, so that they have something to show off to their friends, because that's how this system works. And instead of making that, revolve around skill, which is a good idea, they've made it revolve around money, and they've created an almost endless pit that you could throw money into, as comparing our first story, or not our first story, comparing the story about EA, because you literally can throw a mountain of money into these games and nothing ever improves. Ever. It's always going to be the same garbage. You don't get anywhere better of this. In World of Warcraft, there's a limit to how much money will get you. In World of Warcraft, you can this happened. So what the story that I'm referring to here happened about a year and a half ago-ish or so, where the one of the best team in the world that was doing the raiding content, huge guys, huge everything fell apart. One of the things that came out was that they were buying and selling real, like, in-game gold for real world money, and that they were using that money to pipe in money into their characters and stuff like this. So they were able to get just mountains and mountains of gold in the game, and that mountains of gold would buy them a bunch of stuff, but eventually they would run out of stuff to buy, and then you didn't have anything to do with the money other than, like, walk up to a newbie player and be like, hey, follow me around and type squawk once every minute, and I'll give you 1,000 gold. And do that for a day. Sure, that sounds fun and amazing. It's really funny if you get like an orc to do it, and especially if he's on the opposite faction, that's even more funny. You're just walking around and you get this orc following you and going squawk, squawk, squawk. It's really funny, but you run out, and you run out of things to do. And in games where the game either lives or dies on an economy, on a real economy, that's not like these other games where, whether it's the FIFA or whether it's the Pokemon Go, or even if it's like even Genshin to a fact, there is a limit that you can hit in Genshin. You can continue to pump money in for absolutely no reason, but at least there you also have some form of a limit that you can hit in which you collect everything, and you just don't need to, like, there's no reason for you to spend any more money. And that's what some of these other games have, is where they don't have that limit. You can theoretically just keep dumping money, and this is very. I'm going to mention another mobile game that's really bad at this, and that's Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends has like, I can't remember. It's a couple hundred characters, but even at the most character unlock slots, you don't have enough room to hold all the characters. And some of the whales hit this stage where they're just recycling all of the epic characters. So they get the epic characters, they're really good, but then they run out of space because they just farming for legendaries all the time, or like an endless team of legendaries. And so they just keep on like throwing away and burning through the epic characters to thus replace them with the same epic characters. And they're like, oh, look, I got this epic character. I guess they're not too bad. It's the 10th time you've gotten the character. What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your money?
You have to wonder,
10 times before, and yet they're still, oh, look, cool, I got the character. You've had this character. You got 10 versions of it sitting in your bank. At most, you need, I think it's like 4 or so. I can't remember. But it's some stupid, ridiculous number where it's like they create these eternal money sinks where you could literally spend $1 billion. Not even just $1 billion. You could theoretically just pour endless money into this thing. You know, like you're, I don't know, like some, government spending organization. Just shovel trillions of dollars into a hole, set it on fire, and look at it burn. And it's like, oh, look at that fire burn over there. Isn't that nice?
Yep. Well, yeah. So
I was gonna do a Jim Carrey impression, but I forgot the dude's name that he does. But yeah, it's like that. So
it's like that. Yeah.
Wooly Ram, Arc Knights. Wooly, do you seriously play Arc Knights? I am super curious. You've got to tell me whether you actually play Arc Knights. I did not spend any money on the game. I downloaded the game because I got into their like early thingamabob, and the concept is great. The animation's great. But the actual gameplay, I didn't actually like the actual gameplay. Like it was somewhat like challenging, but it wasn't challenging enough for me, or it didn't come in that quick. And then the animation, the characters, it was just too low quality sprites. But I'm really interested to know if you play Arc Knights, because that's hilarious. Mm-hmm. I could just imagine with your voice playing Arc Knights going, yes, I am very pleased with this mission outcome. Oh man, that would be hilarious. But anyway.
Indeed. I have gotten many ads for Arc Knights. Have never been tempted to try it, but I don't get into most of those. All I really play on my phone is I play puzzle games basically. I'm never really got interested in those battler games. You know what? The one that baffles me though is, I can't remember what it's called, but Elijah Wood was doing ads for it. It's like the Idle Battler, where the game plays itself. And
the AFK Arena,
AFK Arena, yeah.
I have never picked up AFK Arena because the art style, I just don't get into it. Okay, so Wooly does play. That is funny.
I just don't get AFK Arena because they market it as, oh man, you don't have enough time to play games. Hey, here's a game you don't have to play. Just let it play itself while you're at work. And yay, fun. I'm like, what? How? What? That doesn't make sense. Not happening. I don't get it.
You get to play the role of the ultimate supervisor. Go, my men, go forth and do battle.
It doesn't appeal to me. Not my thing.
I get Arc Knights a little bit more because it is a logic puzzle. Arc Knights is kind of like it's not a team battler like Raid is. It's a castle or a tower defense game. But you have different characters that fill different roles of the tower defense game. So So theoretically, you get 100 people in a room. They all draw random cards. They have to. Those 100 people have 100 different decks with which to beat the tower defense, and you have to come up with interesting and unique ways to beat that concept.
Okay.
So it is a great idea, and the full art for the full art, which I think Wooly is referring to, is actually quite nice. It's actually like,
I've been looking at the artwork, and I just downloaded it because I'm just like, ooh, waifus.
Yeah, good waifus, good husbandos. They're very cute. They're very, very cute, and they do have like it's sort of like an anime. It's a new thing that a lot of these games do, where they basically have like a collection of animations within it, to the point where they get almost like a whole episode worth. I'm going to butcher this name. Haruki or Hanukkah Impact 3 has, I think they've got about 40 minutes now of high quality, like top shelf anime level cutscenes. With most of them are battles, but some of them are like tearjerker battles. Like you're watching this, and like you don't know the characters, you don't really know what's going on, but and we'll have to do this test. I'll pull this test on Ash right after this. At some point, I'm going to get him and Moon to watch one of these episodes. You'll have no idea what's going on in the episode, in this like 7-minute long mini film, until the very end, and you'll suddenly go, oh my god, that's what they were fighting over. Oh my, and it's just such a heart clincher. So things like that, and the people who made Impact 3 are the same people who made Genshin Impact. So there is some growth to the industry that we're seeing. I don't like the gacha systems. They need to go. These endless things need to go. There are other games that do it better. There's one game that you just buy the characters outright. It's like $10 for a character, and they introduce a new character every 2 months. I like those systems. It's the exact same thing that League of Legends was doing. You could save up and earn the right to buy the character with just pure game time, but even League of Legends slipped down the path of doing, endless loot boxes, and I hate that so much. Yeah, Hanukkah is so the story is great. I would say the story is like top shelf. It's probably one of the best. It's not the best. It's in the shelving of the best narratives that I would give to video games. It's like definitely up there. It is very boring to play because the limitation of the technology and the phone and all that kind of stuff. And they've learned a lot of lessons in that they've moved over to Genshin Impact. So like I said, there's growth that is happening within the mobile game department, but it is really being hampered by this spend, auto spend, where a lot of people don't even realize how much money they're spending on their microtransactions on their phones. And it's not just games, books, movies, a bunch of other stuff. I know people who Guy realized that he spent $4K on movie rentals on iTunes or the Apple Store, whatever the Apple Store is called.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
you just have to watch the latest movie now, hey?
Well, I think what he was doing is he was just buying like, oh look, the full series of Scrubs for $350. That's a great deal. I'll just buy the whole library of Scrubs. So at least he has something somewhat tangible there, until of course Apple goes.
Well, that's the thing. You don't. It's like buying a movie on YouTube now. Like you can do, or do they only have rentals? I don't even know. But it doesn't make sense to me. Like the subscription things. Like there's more on Netflix than I'll ever watch. And sometimes the movies I want to watch are not there. But at least it's like, okay, well, I can watch whatever, and I don't own it, but at least I'm not pretending that I own it by subscribing to some sort of digital system where, so you can buy a YouTube movie, okay, but then what happens when YouTube goes away? It's just gone. It's no longer a
So-
physical thing that
Mm-hmm.
you have. And I mean, your DVDs and VHSs will eventually wear out and no longer work too.
I need to mention this. I need to mention this. I just remembered, and this is so cool because I think I made this correlation before, but I completely forgot about it. Did you know one of the greatest threats to the Enterprise in the original, not the original series, but the Next Generation, one of the Next Generation's greatest threats to the Enterprise was a video game that that somebody brought back. I think it was, I can't remember who brought it back, but somebody brought
Riker.
the video game.
It
on
was
the-
Riker. He brought it back
was Riker.
from that Pleasure Planet.
Yeah, right. And so
Risa.
it was, they didn't realize that it was like basically like controlling people's minds. But there was a statement made by one of the crew members when Wesley was in the turbo lift. He's in the turbo lift and he's talking to this lady, and this lady's like, "Oh, have you gotten to, you know, some level or so?" I think it was like level 10 or something like that. And he's like, "No, I'm still stuck on this low level." And she's like, "Oh, you just got to let the secret is you just got to let the game play itself." And I just realized now that these games that play themselves are in fact the greatest threat that we have to face. Right?
I love that episode of Star
Yeah.
Trek: The Next Generation. I really liked that one. Wesley was actually kind of good in that
Smart
episode,
for once.
and
Yeah,
not
smart for
not
once.
annoying. Yeah.
Not a total waste of time. But this is what I think this industry needs to get over, is they need to get over this. Once they get over this, I believe honestly 100%, if Genshin Impact did not have a microtransaction gotcha mechanic, if they just had outfits and characters and you just bought the characters, the game was free to play, they gave you a host of like basic characters to get for free, they give you a new free character once every 2 months, and they introduce another new character once every month or two, whatever, and you could just save up your points, save up your money, or save up your in-game things to buy certain things you wanted, and if you wanted to unlock everything, then you spend some money to unlock everything. I honestly believe that if they had gone like that, it would be the number one game in the world right now, because it's on mobile, it's also on the consoles, it's also on the PC. The story is honestly great, but what gets in the way of playing the story and playing the game is the microtransaction system. Is the like I booted it up today. Did I advance the quest and experience the new quest for the new one of the new things that they put out that I hadn't caught up on? No. You know what I did? I farmed the dang in-game currency on a farming route that gave me enough to like purchase like 3 more poles at some point in the future. So I wasn't playing the good part of the game. I was playing the repeatable content that's in the game that you farm. Essentially, I'm using air quotes. You farm to unlock the primo gems, that you use the primo gems to buy things, because I'm not putting money into the game anymore. But in order for me to do polls and stuff like that, I have to farm that kind of currency, and it made me tired. And I was like, oh, that's why I haven't played the game recently, is because I wasn't interested in farming the stupid currency again, and it made me annoyed and it made me upset. And I swear, if they removed all that garbage and just stuck with making the good game, which it does have, it's got an amazing storyline, but it's washed out by all this microtransaction BS that just makes a lot of people not interested to play it, or don't count it as a real game, and just gets in the way of me enjoying the game, and therefore it becomes not the best game of the year. Instead, it becomes a drag. But in all honesty, if they had just stuck to making the thing an actual like free-to-play Zelda type game thing, open world discovery thing, they honestly would be heads and shoulders above where they're at right now if they had just done that. But they can't, because the money is just too good. The money.
They'd still be making money though. If they
Oh,
did it
that's
the
the
way
thing.
if they
Like-
did it the way you're suggesting, they'd still make money. You sell cosmetics in a game.
League of Legends was making just an ungodly amount of money selling new characters and new skins. They come out with a new character and they come out with 3 or 4 new skins for existing champions. And there was one champion I bought every single one of her skins because I was a god when I played that character. I would go into matches and 1v5 the entire team, even after several nerfs that they did to her, and I would still come out the champion. I only liked playing that character. There was one or two others that were mildly interesting, but I just didn't have fun. I didn't have as much fun with that character as with those characters as I did with the one character. I clicked with that character, and you don't. And I walked away from it because it became microtransaction, and buy the new chests that unlock the new stuff, and I'm like, just give me the chance to play the old stuff. And I swear I counted up between myself and my brothers, two brothers who played the game. I had spent like about $400 or $500 on the game over the course of like the 3 years that I was playing it, because I would buy gift cards for the game for my brothers so that they could unlock characters and champions and skins that they wanted. And that's a lot to put onto a game, I guess, over 3 years, maybe not so much for essentially 3 people, but it's like, that is preferable to these endless money sinks that is FIFA and Genshin. Unfortunately, it does,
because you're actually paying for game content and getting game content.
Exactly.
As opposed to getting a chance to maybe get the game content you want, but you'll probably get all this crap you can't use. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We should wrap it up, though. Great conversation, and thank you, everybody, for joining us for this. And they say you should always leave them wanting more, so hopefully we're doing that. And come join us on Saturday for our next podcast. Subscribe to the channel for all of our live podcast content. And possibly, we're still sorting out what to put on which channel. But yes, we have this channel, which is definitely where our podcasts are going to be for the foreseeable future. We also have our main channel where we do all kinds of other edited content, some comedy stuff, game reviews, all kinds of things. We do all kinds of things. So if you haven't checked out that, definitely give it a look. We really appreciate that. And I want to extend a special thank you to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who helped make this content possible. Our big damn heroes on Patreon. You see their names scrolling at the top of the screen every now and then, but you know what? I'll read them out today. Robin, Shua, Time Bean, Schoolman, Lady Reaver, Draco Den, Niv, Too Tall 12, New Ultra Broad, Game Notes, and Terror K. Those are our Patreon supporters, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. And also thank you if you are listening on Twitch as well. We appreciate you listening in. I see we don't get a lot of live viewers on Twitch, but I have seen the view counts for our VODs there, slowly increasing. So if you are listening after the fact on Twitch, and you want to, you can listen on Twitch if you want, but also come check out our YouTube channel where we have a lot more content than what we're able to do on Twitch, obviously. This podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. My name is Ash, and on behalf of Sybe and Moontag, thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you again very soon.